Alex always knew he wanted to be a police officer when he grew up. As he grew up, his professional plans didn't change, and he determined he wanted to be either a detective or a CSI. His father was also in the police and died tragically while in service. Alex's mom, Anna, didn't want the same for her son, so she wasn't ever excited about his plan. But she never talked him out of it. She saw how much he loved the idea. But life gets in the way. When he went to the police academy, the medical committee found problems with his heart, causing issues with his blood pressure. That's odd, Alex thought. I feel excellent and have never had any health issues. While he was undergoing additional exams, the academy stopped accepting applicants. Don't worry, son. You'll get in next year, Anna told him. You can help me remodel the apartment in the meantime. Anna was still fairly young, but she had issues with her joints. Her arthritis was progressing, and it was getting harder to do things. Actually, just moving was getting painful. Her medication didn't provide many results, and doctors weren't doing anything. Alex helped his mother as he could. He did all the hard work around the house. In the spring, he received notice for his mandatory military service. When he went through his medical exam, he was marked fit. The doctors concluded that he was completely healthy, and his blood pressure problems at the academy were because of worries. Even though Alex was upset, he didn't refuse the army. He was a man who considered military service necessary for every man. The only thing that worried him was if his mom would be okay on her own. But Anna insisted he go serve. The doctor said he could file documentation that he could waive his service. But Alex decided that serving would help him with his next attempt to get into the police academy, which he would do once he returned. 18 months flew by. When Alex came home, he was preparing for university. But in late 2013, a series of events kicked off in Ukraine that would change the lives of many people, Alex's included. On November 21st, 2013, protests began that were called Euromaidan, or the Revolution of Dignity. Protesters and police clashed, and the protests ended in March 2014, when the president Viktor Yanukovych was removed from office. From late February to early March in 2014, Russian soldiers from Russia and Black Sea ships used the change in power to occupy Crimea. After the occupation and a series of pro-Russian speeches in Ukraine, Russian soldiers entered Ukrainian Donbas. The war in Donbas began with the capture of the Ukrainian cities Slavyansk, Kramatorsk, and Droskovka by Russian soldiers, directed by Russian Special Forces, on April 12, 2014. Alex had always been patriotic and volunteered to go fight in eastern Ukraine. Anna was beside herself with worry. Of course, no mother wants to send her son to war. But she understood that the protection of one's land and one's country from invaders was the duty of every citizen. Along with her worries, Anna was proud that she could raise a real man who could protect his homeland. In the beginning, she would receive short notes from him saying, "I'm okay, I'm alive and healthy." She understood he couldn't write much, let alone a full letter, so she appreciated what she had. All she could do was pray to God to keep her son safe. But the messages stopped coming. She waited patiently. She understood that she needed to go to the military for information, but she delayed, afraid of what she'd find out. She went from one office to another. Finally, one officer sighed, lowered his eyes, and said, "I'm so sorry, but your son is missing in action. There was a heavy battle, and he wasn't found among the wounded or dead. As soon as we know anything, we'll let you know." Anna couldn't remember how she got home. Her only child, her son, was missing. Was he captured? Anna shivered from the thought. Anna overheard someone mocking captured soldiers. She got sick and was taken to the hospital because of her heart. A year went by. There was no information about Alex, and Anna looked everywhere. She was able to find a man that served with her son, but unfortunately, what happened drove him crazy, so he couldn't help. Anna's hair went gray, and her health worsened by the day. She went on disability and got help from a social worker. She often dreamed of Alex, but she had a dream one day that woke her in a cold sweat. She heard his voice in a dream say, "Mom, help me. I'm alive, but underground." Now, Anna didn't believe in magic, but after that dream, she was sure her son was alive. She renewed her search and called all the government, charity, and volunteer organizations she could, but to no avail. Another year passed. Anna's joint problems got worse because of her anxiety, and she was now wheelchair-bound. Once a season, she went to get massages. Maria, her masseuse, was a nice woman, but she seemed unhappy to Anna. While they were chatting, Anna learned that Maria was a surgeon, but after several events, she could no longer pick up her scalpel, and she turned to massages. Anna didn't ask her about the details, but told her tragic story of her son's disappearance. When she finished, she grabbed a photo album from her table and showed Maria a picture of Alex. Maria's face changed when she saw it and said, "I think I know him." "How?" Anna said doubtfully. "He looked different, but it was definitely him," she said seemingly to herself. "God, please tell me, where did you see my boy?" Anna begged. Maria sighed and began her story. She and her husband were surgeons working in Donetsk. When the city was captured, they decided to move to Ukrainian-controlled territory, but unfortunately they were too slow. Pro-Russian soldiers broke into their house and threatened them with guns to go with them and examine their wounded. Her husband said he wouldn't help them, so they shot him for resisting. Maria rushed to him, but she was hit in the head. She came to in an unfamiliar place. She was taken to the wounded, given a bag of instruments and medicine, and threatened at gunpoint to provide care. Then she was taken away. From what she understood, she realized she would be killed. She was pushed and fell downwards. It was a hole covered with a grate. When she looked around, she saw a man. He was hurt and had a contusion, but she had no way to help. She looked at his face in the morning. He couldn't say anything. Maria was pulled out soon, and she realized they would kill her. She was led by a soldier, and she had nothing to lose, so she asked him to let her go instead of killing her. When he took her to the edge of camp, he shot in the air suddenly and said, "Run away!" And she ran. Luckily, the border was nearby, and she was safe soon. "That's my story. If the man in that hole wasn't your son, then he looked just like him," she finished. The settlement where this happened was in the so-called Donetsk People's Republic. It was dangerous for Anna to go alone. Maria said she knew a person who could help. Anna traveled across the whole country, and her guide was there. Several sources told them to go to a local businessman who had a couple young men working on his farm from unknown places. When he showed Alex's picture, the guide noticed the man's reaction, and after some insistence, he admitted one of his workers looked similar to the man in the photo. He also said that the man wasn't well and didn't remember his name or how he got there. He took him in, and the man had been working for food and shelter for over 2 years. The young man came out of the shed at that moment. Anna's heart jumped. It was her son! It was Alex! She ran to meet him. "Hello, who are you?" he asked, not recognizing her. "I'm your mom, son," she said through tears, hugging him as hard as she could. Getting him out of there took her guide's connections and money, but Anna was ready and had some savings. Most importantly, she found him and saved her baby. Alex's memory came back over time. He learned to live again, and so did Anna. After he came back, she started feeling better. Maria became a family friend. Sometimes it's important to hold on to hope despite the obstacles, even if everyone else already gave up.